While taking her medication, Chloe noticed something strange. The label on the bottle seemed off, so she carefully peeled it back, only to find an old label underneath with her mother's name on it. Chloe was stunned. Why would her mother give her medication prescribed to herself? That night, when her mother came in with her usual dose, Chloe was cautious. She pretended to swallow the pill, but as soon as her mother left, she spit out a green pill. Chloe had been battling asthma, heart disease, and diabetes since she was a child. On top of that, she was paralyzed and had to rely on a wheelchair. Despite her struggles, Chloe was determined to turn her life around. She studied hard at home under her mom's guidance, hoping to get into the University of Washington. But no matter how hard she tried, she never received an acceptance letter. But after noticing the suspicious label, Chloe found out that her mother had quietly started keeping her medication on the top shelf, out of reach. Sensing that her mother was hiding something, Chloe used a grabber she had made to pull down one of the bottles and write down the name of the medication. She then turned to her mom's computer to look it up, but surprisingly, there was no internet connection. Chloe was baffled. She had no idea that her mother had already noticed her behavior. Now, in the shadows, her mother sat watching her every move. To avoid suspicion, her mother called the internet company the next morning, claiming the connection was down and asking them to send someone to fix it. But the earliest available appointment was at the end of the month. Chloe sat there silently as it hit her. Aside from the internet and her mother, she had no way to contact the outside world. Luckily, there was still a landline in her mother's room. While her mom was outside tending to the garden, Chloe quickly called the pharmacy. But the pharmacist immediately recognized the number and asked if the person on the other end of the line was her mother, making Chloe nervous. Afraid the pharmacist might tip off her mom, Chloe quickly hung up. When she saw her mom was still busy outside, she grabbed the phone again. Living in a remote area with no friends or family nearby, Chloe had no one to call. Out of desperation, she dialed a random number, and someone actually picked up. Keeping one eye on the window in case her mother came back, Chloe nervously begged the person on the other end for help. Just as she was explaining her situation, she realized her mother had disappeared from the garden. Panicking, Chloe pleaded for help, and to her relief, the person agreed.
I need you to open up Google and look up the word trigoxin, T-R-I-G.
Hold on. Trigoxin is a brand name drug that treats severe heart conditions, including atrial fibrillation, flutter, or heart failure. Jesus, this is intense.
Can you click on images?
Is this what you take?
Yes, please just tell me what you see.
Pills. Just lots of pills.
What color are they?
The answer made Chloe's heart drop. The real trigoxin was supposed to be red pills, but the ones her mother gave her were green. So what exactly was the medication her mother had been giving her? Chloe's doubts about her mother grew stronger, but not wanting to raise any suspicion, she pretended everything was normal and casually mentioned wanting to go to the movies in town. Her mother happily agreed. However, just before leaving, Chloe secretly emptied a handful of pills she had been collecting from her piggy bank. She planned to take the opportunity to investigate what this medication really was while they were out. When her mother parked outside the movie theater, Chloe noticed a pharmacy nearby. After entering the theater, Chloe excused herself to use the restroom. Her mother, not thinking twice, allowed her to go. Chloe quickly wheeled herself out of the theater and headed straight for the pharmacy across the street. But when she entered the pharmacy, she saw a long line. Chloe immediately became anxious. If she took too long, her mother would surely come looking for her. Summoning all her courage, she stepped up and cut in line.
Excuse me, I'm very sorry to bother you, but I was hoping you'd be so kind and let me cut in line.
What? No, I've been waiting here. Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry, everyone. Cutting through. I'm paralyzed. Feel bad for me. Hey, Mrs. Bates.
Oh my goodness. Chloe, are you okay?
Chloe provided her mother's name and the date of purchase. The pharmacist then looked up the information on the computer, but the results left Chloe stunned.
Because your mom doesn't get these prescribed for herself.
Yes, she does. I saw them. She had them in her bag, and her name...
She gets them for your dog. We share a pharmacy with the vet next door. The answer you're looking for is Ridocaine. Green pill, gray cap.
It's dog medicine.
Uh-huh. Says it's a muscle relaxant prescribed to reduce canine leg pain or leg discomfort caused by sunburns, bites, or cuts.
And what would happen if you gave a human being Ridocaine?
What kind of a question is that?
The sound of her mother's calling sent Chloe into a panic attack, triggering her asthma. She was breathing so rapidly she couldn't speak a word. As her mother rushed toward her, Chloe looked at the pharmacist desperately and shook her head. But the pharmacist didn't understand her silent plea. Her mother quickly took Chloe back home. When Chloe woke up, it was already the next afternoon. Her mother had left her some food, but Chloe wasn't in the mood to eat. She sat in her wheelchair, determined to ask her mother about the medication. But when she tried to open the door, she found it was locked. This wasn't a problem for Chloe. She pulled out a few pieces of wire and inserted them into the door lock. After fiddling with it for a while, the lock finally opened. Chloe eagerly tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. Her cautious mother had placed a hoe on the door handle to prevent her from unlocking it. Chloe was growing more and more aware of how terrifying her mother could be. She didn't understand why her mother had given her that medication or why she was being kept locked inside the house. The more she thought about it, the more frightened she became. So, she decided to escape through the window. She grabbed her homemade soldering iron and took a sip of water before climbing out of the window. She struggled across the roof, the slanted surface making it difficult, and her heavy legs made her almost slip several times. But Chloe gritted her teeth and pushed forward. Eventually, she reached her mother's window. Chloe desperately tried to push it open but realized it was shut from the inside. Fortunately, Chloe had anticipated this. She inserted the soldering iron into the window, and the heat quickly caused the glass to crack. With all her strength, Chloe sprayed the water in her mouth onto the glass. The thermal shock caused the glass to shatter. After carefully placing her clothes on the shards, Chloe crawled through the window. With great effort, she finally landed on the ground. But when she tried to use the automated wheelchair ramp to go downstairs, the machine didn't respond. Chloe realized her mother had already cut the power to the wires.